Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome to the Science of Magic, a place where science and magic come together to transform fact into evolving truth. We can be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour we'll be exploring being the hollow bone. There's a concept in many shamanic traditions referred to as being the hollow bone. It usually applies to a shaman and shamanic practitioners and the need to be a clear channel for their people in order to deliver healing and information. To achieve this, they must be unencumbered by their own beliefs, judgments, or agendas. Sounds easy enough, right? Not so much. We're also deeply embedded with all multiple layers of all the above. We're not even aware it's there. The required level of personal processing and soul searching, if you will, is staggering, daunting even. Staying out of the way in order to be a clear channel is a full-time, never-ending job. Just when you think you've arrived, that perfect client will show up to knock you off your high horse with issues that trigger ones in you that you didn't even know you had. Once again, another level of personal processing begins. Being a hollow bone also requires the ability to channel a wide bandwidth of frequency from the spiritual or quantum level through the mental, emotional, and finally into the physical reality. In order to do this, the practitioner or shaman undergoes rigorous initiations and continual shamanic healings. So why am I telling you all of this? I mean, really, how many ever aspire to be a shaman or a shamanic practitioner in the first place? We're living in unprecedented times of change and spiritual evolution. Some of us come into this period to aid this evolution. Yet most of those gifted ones have been so impacted on all levels by pollution and the abusive system present in the planet, they never achieve a high enough personal frequency to access and activate their gifts. Our bodies, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, are under extreme stress due to our environment and lifestyles. Yet, the evolutionary nature of these times demand we step up our frequencies in order to participate. The ever-widening gap between the raising ambient frequency and the depleted ones of the human condition is about to reach critical mass. It is paramount that we each participate, each in our own way, to raise the overall frequency of humankind. By the manifestation of Spirit is given unto every man to profit withal. For to one is given by Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another dividers of kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. By all those worketh that self-same Spirit, divided unto every man severally as he will. For as the body is one and hath many members, all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit we are all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bound or free, and have all been made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. 1 Corinthians 7-14. We're not all the same, but each brings vital piece of the puzzle. We came to work as members in soul teams in the interest of our planet and all living upon her. Just like the aspiring shaman must clear their facility on all four levels in order to become the hollow bone, so must we now clear ourselves in order to find and master our gifts, bring them forth, and offer them in service during these critical times. No one of us need do it all, yet each of us what we bring makes every difference. Your team awaits you. Do your work, raise your frequency, and look around. You are not alone. Our guest this hour brings vital information on how we can raise our frequency and restore the flow of spiritual life in everyday living. After a short break, we'll introduce Carrie L'Esperance and her amazing book, Soul Breathing. You're listening to The Science of Magic, and you can always visit our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Carrie L'Esperance, author of Soul Breathing, Spiritual Light, and the Art of Self-Mastery. Carrie is an artist, certified iridologist, certified permaculture designer, and serves on the advisory board of the Environmental Cleanup Coalition. She has spent more than 35 years studying the healing systems of the world's cultures. Carrie offers workshops at a rustic retreat and nature preserve in Northern California. Carrie, you beautifully bring together your knowledge and gifts in the writing of your latest book, Soul Breathing. I found it full of wonderful information for anyone interested in spiritual evolution. Thank you so much for joining us on The Science of Magic.
Oh, my pleasure, Gwilda. Thank you so much for appreciating the book. I'm glad to hear you think a lot of people will appreciate it.
Oh, I absolutely do. It would appear that you, it would appear that you and many of my other guests have said on the show that we're all in agreement that civilization is reaching a kind of a critical threshold. Would you mind speaking to this?
Well, as you mentioned, yes, absolutely. I hope a lot of people recognize that civilization as a whole is at a critical threshold in time. You know, we've heard that before, but this time that we're in right now is unlike any other time in recorded history. So, you know, this is a book. It's an extraordinary tool to help people understand what is really happening in the world at this time. And not only
Carrie, why do you think
happening,
we're looking at this crisis or opportunity at this particular time in history?
Well, oh my goodness. You just cut right to the chase, don't you?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a bad habit of mine.
Well, Well, why is it happening? Well, it may be shocking for a lot of people to hear this, but there are unprecedented forces at play that require
I'm back.
clarification for people. Um, some people are open, and some people are closed to what's really happening right now. But I can tell you that technology and the unprecedented forces at play are connected. And we have a technology right now that is bioincompatible with the human system. It's bioincompatible with the Earth's frequency, and it's bioincompatible with the animal life on the planet. And there's a reason for that. And it's no secret, really, that, say, for instance, the first fiber optic cables were discovered in a craft that had crashed from another planet, another alien nation. And our crisis, definitely, what's at play here right now is connected. Everything is all connected. And how it plays out will make all the difference in the world as to how we choose to play it out as a civilization.
So, would you mind going a little deeper into bioincompatible for me?
Well, I mean, humanity's most important goal is to merge with the higher unifying principle of existence. And at this point, whether life continues to evolve or devolve depends on our ability to reach higher states of consciousness en masse. And soul breathing encompasses many areas, but simply speaking, it's whole brain thinking. Soul brain is whole brain thinking, which is the unification of the intellect with the wisdom of the soul. And it is, soul breathing, the connection that we have between the intellect and the soul is all part of the multidimensional interplay of the energy of life between the body, mind, and spirit. So this bioincompatibility that I'm speaking of is of a frequency that inhibits this interplay between the energy of life, between the body, mind, and spirit. And it offers a frequency of that which is difficult to get beyond. So when we cover the planet with cell towers and Wi-Fi, we're creating a frequency that is unprecedented ever in history. We're actually altering the biomass of the planet. We're altering the energetic frequency of the natural, shall we say, frequency of life. Wi-Fi frequencies of cell phones are microwaves. They are 1,000 times more powerful than the human cell. That's what I mean by bioincompatible. It's dissonant energy. Dissonant energy is the opposite of harmonious energy.
And so I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's probably the biggest experiment in the history of the world on human beings and life, because we don't really know what it's going to do to people, although we are beginning to find out. And we see it reflected in society, but children are very, very sensitive. Their cells are dividing rapidly, and they need the natural connection of the earth and sunlight to become strong and whole and balanced human beings. But what they're doing is they're spending between 6 and 10 hours a day in front of a computer or on a cell phone or on a device that is propelled by these invisible microwaves.
And so it's like putting an energy ceiling around the planet and around the individual and distorting the cells. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, but not just that. It affects the pineal gland in the brain. The pineal gland is the gland that has been found to connect matter with spirit, to connect the mind with the higher spiritual mind. So when we affect the pineal gland, we also affect its ability to produce melatonin. This affects the individual's ability to sleep, because if the body can't sleep, it can't repair and regenerate itself. So what's happening is that people are going to sleep, sometimes with their cell phones actually under their pillow, and they
So
seemingly
where
sleep.
do you get the research for this information?
Well, there's lots and lots of research for this information. European studies are well ahead of American and Canadian studies, but we now have a variety of institutions that are studying the effects of the microwave technology of cell phones and just the technology that we're using today. There are quite a few. There are quite a few scientists all over the world that are bringing forth this information. A lot of it has been very suppressed in the United States.
So
But
how is it
beginning
being
to come.
suppressed here in the States, and where are you finding the research? Is it on the internet or?
I find the research in periodicals, in magazines, in books. It comes to me. The work that I've done on soul breathing has taken a lifetime to write, and I've been collecting information for 35 years. And I've also used experience. I live in San Francisco, and San Francisco, as you know, has become a big technology town. I have noticed just a big difference in my own ability to function since they have Wi-Fi'd the major roadway here that I live along on Market Street. Although I do not subscribe to Wi-Fi, my apartment is saturated with it because of
Right.
my.
It seems to be kind of the way of our life right now, all this electromagnetic pollution. And I don't think that, one, we have any way of changing it from without. Do you have any ideas on how we can change it from within, and how we can simply make ourselves more resistant to it?
Well, I have to say, Gwilda, that I disagree with that statement, because we're the ones that are creating the technology from the science that we have. And I think what we really need to do is we need to create biocompatible technology for people to use. And rather than having it be so dissonant, have it be more harmonious with the frequencies that support life. So we do have the ability to do that. But there's ways. There are technologies that are out there that can be used that are very simple. One of them is in the book, and it's called shungite. It's a kind of a black silver mineral that creates a vortex, and it's found only in one part of Russia. But it could actually be introduced into technology to balance the frequencies that we have right now that are being used. And there's also a science called biogeometry. An Egyptian scientist, Dr. Ibrahim Karim, has
I'm sorry, we're going
developed.
to have to take a real quick break here, Carrie. We'll pick up with this on the other side. My concern, of course, is can we do all this replacement in time? Because we're getting pretty sick pretty fast here. You are listening to The Science of Magic. We'll return to our discussion after this short break. You want to hear more? Previous broadcasts of innovative episodes can always be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. Visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Carrie L'Esperance, author of Soul Breathing, Spiritual Light, and the Art of Self-Mastery. Her website is www.carrielesperance.com. Welcome back, Carrie.
Thank you, Gwilda.
Yeah, we were just having fun talking about electromagnetic pollution and all that fun stuff. What do you do personally to minimize your usage or exposure to it?
Well, I use shungite in my apartment near my bed because I have a constant stream of Wi-Fi over my bed, and it seems to help. I wear a pendant made of shungite. I use a circular disc on my cell phone that's made of shungite. And
okay, so
I also
you kind of use the stone to counteract the frequencies. So you use the harmonics in reverse, basically, to block the frequencies that are coming at you. Is that correct?
Yes, I do my best. I feel that it helps me definitely to cope with the energies that I feel are coming at me all the time. I notice a definite difference between when I'm in the city and when I'm in a country setting. When I'm in a country setting, I sleep completely differently than I do in the city. And
boy, do I hear you there.
Boy,
do I hear you there.
Yeah.
I've experienced the same thing. And sleep, like you say, is so important. I'd like to ask you, what exactly is soul breathing?
Soul breathing is, like I said, it's the multidimensional interplay between the body and the soul. So the soul is part of the spiritual dimension that we work with, that we don't always see, that we don't always think about. What we think about mainly is our daily survival, our daily needs. The body, being in a physical third-dimensional environment, definitely tends to take over. The mind, with the distractions that we have, are usually the things that we focus mainly on. And so the soul tends to be subdued, but the soul is where the wisdom is, the higher wisdom from spirit. So if we can combine the two, then we have a whole brain thinking human being.
Gotcha. So what role do you see our
power.
chakra systems playing in bringing in this greater light so that our bodies can transfer them through soul breathing?
Well, that's exactly the issue that we're facing with the electromagnetic, shall we say, saturation that we have in the environment. It does affect the aura. It does affect the chakra system. And so this is what is at stake. This is the high stakes that we're looking at. That's why it's imperative that we begin to understand the effects that frequency has. And I really wanted to help people understand fully the delicacy of the evolutionary position of the body, the mind in relation to the spirit, because it is a delicate situation.
I
Um,
totally agree there too. What I'm finding on the other side of this is while we're underneath this energetic ceiling of the pollution that's around us, electromagnetic and otherwise, if we can take the proper steps to raise our frequency enough, we can actually transcend them and not be as affected by them. Just like a sound wave will bounce off the wall, but for the most part, but a radio wave will pass right through undetected. When we raise our frequencies enough, we're no longer as subjected to or victimized by, if you will, the profound effects of this electromagnetic pollution. What advice can you give our listeners to start to achieve this transition?
I feel that soul breathing is a lifestyle, and we use our minds to decide the frequency of how we operate in the world. This helps tremendously, but I can tell you, being in touch with nature is one of the most powerful ways to connect with a higher frequency. And if we muddle and meddle with nature, we are cutting off our connection to finding higher frequencies.
So, do you think that humans' interference with nature is bigger than nature? That we can't reconnect with nature in spite of it?
What I'm saying is that frequency is a reality, and if we create a frequency that we cannot get beyond, then we are limiting what our achievements can be.
On an individual level or as en masse?
Both. I'm saying that what happens when we resonate with light, the cellular structure of the body becomes lighter, and the physical body is raised. The physical light of the body is raised. But if we create a frequency over the planet that does not support a body and a life for that cellular upliftment, then we have a polarity issue. We have a subdued ability to go beyond where we need to go.
So do you think that every person that's willing to go through the process of reconnection to whatever degree will affect the whole of humankind, like the 100th monkey or what I sometimes refer to as critical mass, if you will? So do you think that individual participation in this evolution of frequency can change it for the masses as well?
Absolutely, because individual participation is the only way to begin. You can't change other people. You can change yourself. And when you choose to do the work, you resonate with a frequency that can lift the environment, that can lift other people and around you. So I think just being an example, teaching by example, is very powerful.
How about the resonance? In other words, if you start to raise your frequency, the people around you are being exposed to a different frequency, and they can choose to resonate with or can unconsciously resonate with and raise their own. Have you seen that?
Yes, all these things are possible. My concern is that we can only get to a certain point. There's limitation in the mind, but that is what we seek to overcome, limitless there. The mind exists one level, one dimension above the body. Science has determined this, that the brain is basically a substructure. It's like a radio receiver that receives information and sends out information. That we have the most control over.
Got it. So isn't the thought that we can't overcome this, isn't that a mindset that needs to be changed in order to overcome it?
I'm not saying that we can't overcome it. I'm saying what's happening is we are limiting our ability to get there through the frequency that's being created around the planet on a cellular level in regard to the physical body. The physical body needs a certain environment in order to survive. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but many of the birds have disappeared in
Oh,
the
yeah, there's
area.
all sorts of changes going on right now. And I know there's absolutely no mistake in the fact that we're in a lot of trouble. But I try to stay away from too much of a victim consciousness about it and try to look at, okay, we can do this. How can we do this? And that's what I love is some of the solutions that you're offering here. We're going to have to take another break, Carrie. I'm sorry, but we will pick up on the other side of this short break. We'll be back on the flip side. You're listening to The Science of Magic, the place where altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric create common ground for the betterment of our world. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to our world. Our website is www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Carrie L'Esperance, author of Soul Breathing, Spiritual Light, and the Art of Self-Mastery. Her website, www.carrielesperance.com. Hey, Carrie, I'd like to open with you telling our listeners where they can find your book.
Oh, it's published by Inner Traditions, so you can go to innertraditionsbaroncompany.com, or Amazon.com is always a good way to get a book.
Perfect. Well, I would recommend people pick it up because it has lots of really fine tools in it. Carrie, among those tools, do you believe that everyone can participate through the tools that you're offering and reconnect, or just a gifted few?
Oh, no, this is for everyone, man, woman, and child. I really hope that people will take the time to learn more about what's really happening on the planet. You know, when you talk about victim consciousness, this is the opposite of victim consciousness. This is cultivating self-mastery. And what I'm advocating is that we can alter what we create. We don't have to necessarily settle, but look at what we're creating, recognize that it needs to be altered, and change it so that we can live more harmoniously on the planet and with each other, and that we can actually go forward in our delicate evolutionary position that we're in. at the
Yeah, that's
moment.
that's a good point. It's like the more of us that participate to whatever degree we can in cleaning up our environment and in not participating in things that are damaging out there. And there's no denying that reconnection takes some serious lifestyle changes for many. But is it necessary to undertake them all, Carrie?
I think that we need to begin where we can begin. We all have different lives. We all have a certain amount that we can manage, and then it becomes a chore. So my feeling is we always, it's easy to learn when we learn with pleasure, and every life is unique. Every personality is unique. So take the tools that resonate with the individual and begin. But the most important thing is begin and see where the journey takes you. Go as far as you can go as far as you'd like to go, and see what it brings you, because there is a multidimensionality that people must learn more about. And it's a time that if we don't do it now, we may not have another chance. So
I hear
let's
you there. I love what you say about doing it with joy, because joy itself carries a frequency. And if you undertake anything you're doing like it's a obligation, it's drudgery, you hate it, you're putting as much pollution into the air as the electromagnetics is. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And we were put here to live in joy. We were put here to create a life well lived. And people talk about the Garden of Eden. Well, the earth itself is a Garden of Eden. Every inch of the earth is a garden, and it's up to us to tend it. And like any garden, it takes constant care and loving care.
That's so true. That's so true. Our bodies and the earth is as within is without. And if we can't keep the balance within, we can't hope to correct the imbalances without. Which of your techniques do you think is the most important to undertake?
I think the understanding of how to control the mind is perhaps the most powerful project in the book to undertake, and to recognize where you're at in your own frequency by taking an evaluation, a self-evaluation, and use the tools to recognize where you require healing, and work on first healing yourself. And once you heal yourself, you can begin to heal others. And once you begin to heal others, then the planet begins to heal as a whole. So really it begins with the self and controlling the mind and recognizing how powerful the mind is and how powerful the individual is in regard to the law of free will. The law of free will is actually known as the law of chaos because it's the wild card in the deck. We all have free will, and that's the real underlying motion behind how we think and our actions in relation to what we decide we're going to
So
do and
yes,
where we're
so
going
so
to.
true. It's like if we can change our mind, or if we can look at our
Yeah.
belief systems that are creating this situation in our personal lives, um, we can change. And if we are unwilling to look at our personal mindsets, our personal lifestyles, then this is going to continue to the detriment of all. I really love the way you approach that. Sometimes, however, we're unconscious. In fact, most times we're unconscious of our belief systems because they come from the outside inward, and we're programmed with them from childhood. Do you have anything to say to this?
Yes, I think if we just recognize that the world itself is set up, to distract us, because they really don't want people to find their power. And so we have to recognize that many of the things that are set up are set up to distract us from focusing on our individual inner teacher, shall we say. We all have.
Perfect. Yeah. So, who is this they that you're talking about? They prevent us. Who are you talking about?
Well, there's a few people that make many of the choices. There's the few that influence the many, as we know, and we see it in the way that our children are educated. We see it in the medical system. We see it in the financial world. We see it in the religion. We see it in many ways that, even things like sports or theme parks. It's all created to distract us from our deeper silence within, and that's the
Got it.
inner
So what do
teacher.
you think this is driven by? What do you think the overlording principle or being or whatever is causing this almost conspiracy to desecrate the natural being of the human?
Well, two simple words, but powerful words: greed and control. There's a
Got
there's a an imbalance in the systems that are agreeing right now to be here, and whatever's happening has to change. But it can only change if people recognize that they're continuing to carry the agenda. So this is part of not being a victim. This is part of becoming powerful within, rather than looking for your power outside of yourself.
Oh, that's beautifully stated. So, what we're looking for is individual sovereignty in spite of what might happen to be around us. Carrie, this has been
Absolutely.
absolutely a blast. Time has just flown, and I would recommend to anyone interested in evolution and personal empowerment to pick up Carrie's book, Carrie L'Esperance. Thank you so, so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Gwilda. God bless you.
And God bless you, Carrie. This has been The Science of Magic. Remember, you can always listen to this and other thought-provoking episodes on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. Until next time, dear ones, may you drink of one spirit, be blessed with knowledge, and comforted with love.